Sharpen up those guillotines, my beautiful viewers. More heads are rolling inside the Trump administration. And if you're like me and you find this clown show ever more obnoxious, you're going to enjoy seeing this. All the bleeding details here next on The David Reddish Show. Welcome to the show, beautiful viewers. I am your host, once again asking you to please subscribe to the David Reddish Show channel right now if you have not. And if you have, please help get word out about the show any way that you can. And if you have already done both, you're awesome and don't let anyone tell you differently. But I know you're all anxious for this next story, so let's get into it, shall we? Recall that recently, and at long last, Donald Trump has begun firing members of his cabinet for their ineptitude. It started with Mar-a-Lago-faced spokeswoman Kristi Noem.
President Trump has fired Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. It comes after Noem was grilled by two congressional committees over the past 2 days. Noem's department has been front and center when it comes to the president's main policy agendas in his second term, the controversial immigration raids, the deportation of undocumented immigrants, and the locking down of the U.S.-Mexico border. Her tenure has been DHS secretary has also been marked with other controversies, most notably the killings of 2 American citizens by immigration agents in Minneapolis. President Trump announced on his Truth Social platform his chosen Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen to take over for Noem. Mullen is a 3-term senator and former MMA fighter. He's also the only member of the Senate with Native American heritage.
And if that little recap fills you with joy, stay tuned. You're gonna tingle by the end of this report. Probably just like Kristi Noem's husband tingles every time he puts on a pair of balloon bazooms, but never mind. Of course, earlier this month, we also saw the canning of Attorney General and garage sale Barbie Pam Bondi.
Another major shakeup at the White House. Attorney General Pam Bondi has been ousted.
Let's go now to CNN senior White House correspondent Kristen Holmes. Kristen, tell us what you're learning. This is brand new.
Yeah, things are very fluid. They're moving very quickly, but I am told that Pam Bondi has been officially fired. She's out of her role. Now, where she goes next, that is a question mark. I was told in the meeting or in the conversation President Trump had with Bondi yesterday, he floated the idea of a judgeship as a potential landing place for Bondi. And in the interim period, while they are figuring out who is going to take over as Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche will step into that role.
No doubt, as a Florida woman, Bondi is currently still drowning her sorrows with a trip to Waffle House or some hooch served in a bell jar. Moving on. Of course, earlier this week, we also covered reports that FBI Director Kash Patel will be fired within the next week. And my colleagues here at Occupy Democrats have also reported that Trump is very unhappy with drunkard Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who is also on the verge of getting canned. Fingers crossed, everybody. In the meantime, however, those of us still eager to see Trump slice the deadbeats in his administration have just received a little snack. Meet Josh Grunbaum. He's a 40-year-old former Wall Street executive brought into the administration at the behest of drug-addled sociopath Elon Musk. Though originally part of Doge, he developed a relationship with Jared Kushner and pivoted to diplomacy, helping to organize a ceasefire in Gaza. He's also sat in on talks with Russia and Iran. And yet, despite that influence, Trump just downgraded Grunbaum. Check this out. This morning, the Daily Beast reports that President Strokey von Gropey has essentially fired Grunbaum from his nebulous job duties. The news also comes as Politico reported earlier this week that Grunbaum had been taken off his foreign policy assignments. According to the Daily Beast report, Grunbaum has been reassigned to Trump's Board of Peace, again with unclear duties. What is clear, however, is that Grunbaum will now have little to no contact with Trump or top officials, as he has been moved to an office more than a mile from the White House. Several sources tell the Beast that Grunbaum's constant self-promotion resulted in his demotion. Quote, "This is a guy that a couple of months ago Steve and Jared brought to meet Putin, and now he's going to be sharing an office with Kristi Noem, basically," close quote, one source said. Remember, Noem's job as Special Envoy to Shield of the Americas is basically an assistant to an assistant job, and last week we also reported that she has only shown up to one meeting since getting the job, and that was remote. It also appears she will be departing that role very soon. See our other videos for more on that. And now it looks like Grunbaum is joining her in exile. We should note at this point that the announcement of Grunbaum's demotion also comes as the White House has released a statement praising him and saying that he will work for peace in the Middle East while at the Shield of the Americas. Sure, Jan. So what's all of this mean in the grand scheme? Well, there are a couple of takeaways here. First, Grunbaum's removal suggests Trump is unhappy with the current messes in the Middle East, much of which are President Strokey Pants doing, and he needs someone to blame. And the fact that Grunbaum has become the fall guy suggests Trump leveled his ire at Kushner and Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, and they likely threw Grunbaum under the proverbial bus to protect themselves. But there is another specter here. In February, Grunbaum was the subject of a review within the General Services Administration concerning his communications with the fintech company Ramp, which ended up with a $25 million government contract. Though he has denied any wrongdoing, evidence suggests he brokered deals between Ramp and the US government, possibly to enrich himself along the way. So, was his firing punishment for his behind-the-scenes wheeling and dealing? Or was it an attempt to shield Witkoff and Kushner from criticism for their failures? Time will tell. For now, one thing is certain. The Trump administration looks like it is coming apart and running out of fuel, kind of like a rocket in a Looney Tunes cartoon. And when it crashes to the ground, what will be left? Start taking bets now, everybody, and have some bubbly on hand. This is The David Reddish Show.